Yo, what's going on YouTube? There's been a lot of comments asking for tier lists from my previous videos like this. But making detailed videos like this does take time, especially the recording, editing, and the cuts. So I would really appreciate that you could give this video a like or leave a comment down below. And that will really mean a whole lot to me. I'm making this tier list purely based on my own observation and experience from playing the game, and also what I've seen from the cross-server PvP matchups. Alright, starting off, we got Apollo. She's like probably one of the best damage dealer in the game, so I will put her at probably A. Okay, let's talk about in PvP fights. Okay, when I say PvP fights, I also including like the story progression, because it's very similar to like actual PvP. It's kind of basically like team versus team, right? So in PvP fights, her ability is kind of not reliable. Let me show you real quick in this example right here. So let's say if you put your Apollo maybe in the backline, let's say right here, okay, and maybe there's like enemy here, or maybe here. Okay, so what's going to happen is when she uses her ability is basically a big laser, okay, like a very directional ability. She most probably will target this character first because this guy is at the front. Okay, so what's going to happen is her ability will probably look like this. Okay, probably look like this. So because she's focusing on this guy, and this guy maybe, just maybe, will hit a little bit only. So compared to this guy, will take 100% full damage. Okay, while this guy is completely safe. So even though her ability has a really high insane damage, but she can only target a very limited area. Okay, so which is not reliable. By the time your cooldown is ready, the rest of the enemy team will probably kill most of your teammates, and then at the end of it, you will left with Apollo only, like trying to 1v3 or 1v2, and then you lost the fight. Okay, that's from my experience. It happens a lot. But when we are talking about boss fight, because boss don't really move, okay, the boss is just like standing there, right? So she will never miss her ability. Every time she uses, it's always 100% guarantee full damage. So that's why she is really good against boss fights. So if you're thinking about looking for a crazy good damage dealer just for boss fight, because you want to get more free rewards, like higher damage ranking in the boss fight, the more rewards you get, right? It could be the boss fight from the new character event, or the guild boss fight, or any kind of boss fight. Is she a universal character? When I say universal, which means that is it okay to use her even in like different faction, like different team, maybe Arcane, Elemental, or even the green team, the wild team. Okay, so is she universal? I don't think you should invest on her if you are not planning to use her faction at all, because her skills benefits a lot from her own faction. There's a lot of like damage buff, damage increase from the faction perks that she's belong to. But if you are playing like arcane team, okay, and then you put her in an arcane team, it's kind of pointless because you don't provide her the blessing buffs, so she's actually missing out a lot. So I don't think she's a universal character. Okay, so that's, I'll put her at A. Okay, next up we have Laureline. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her name, Laureline. Okay, this is I don't think we have to talk about this. I'm just gonna straight put her in D. Okay, there's only one reason that I could ever think of. If you're planning to play a light faction character, and then maybe let's say you are playing Apollo, but you need some other characters to give her the blessing buffs so that she could enter into gray state as soon as possible, right? Then you can use her. But she does have one skill that provide one blessing random buff to one of your character, but she will prioritize on the light faction character. So yeah, that's only the reason that I could think people would use her. Like damage wise, I don't think she is good in damage, and also single target only, and doesn't have anything else to offer, like damage reduction, defense reduction debuff. No, nothing at all. But she does provide a shock debuff from her elemental. That's one thing that you are looking for, and that's it for her. Okay, moving on, we have Van Helsing. Okay, Van Helsing is actually okay, not too bad. So I would put her at C. Okay, it's a lot better than her because she does have a skill to throw grenade and reduce enemy physical defense, which is a really good thing to have, that you can like further increase your main DPS damage, either in terms of like PvP or maybe in a boss fight. I wouldn't use her as a main DPS, but I would use her as a debuffer support character. Another thing to talk about is that she belongs to the Arcane faction, which means she has the Awakening stack perks, okay? Which also means that you could use her in any other faction. This is more universal because so every time your character uses an ability, she will get +1 Awakening stack. It doesn't matter which faction they are. And one of her passive is she will consume 1 Awakening stack to use one of her other skill, which would make her keep using her grenade more often and constantly applying defense reduction debuff. Okay, next up we have Artemis, which has a really good damage and really hard to kill. She's very evasive, and her ability will also makes one of your character becomes untargetable and giving them a second chance to heal up and then fight again. So for that reason, I'm going to put her in the S tier, a really strong character. She really excels in PvP fights, and having an ability to make another character to become untargetable, to heal back up again and fight is really broken in PvP. But when it comes to boss fight, she's still doing okay. You could time your skill the moment that the boss about to use their skill, so that you could have at least 2 characters that will not get any damage at all from the boss skill, so that they could survive longer and then deal more damage. Hence, you increase your overall damage in the damage ranking. Okay, next up we have Ifrit. Okay, this Ifrit Demon Girl, I'm going to put her at B. I believe she is one of the starting banner, right? One of the character from your starting banner, the starter banner at the beginning of the game. She does have good damage, but my biggest problem with her is her ability. Her ability is basically a bunch of homing fireballs that spread the damage throughout the enemy team. So if you put her as your first character to use her skill right at the beginning of the battle, you're most likely not going to kill anybody, right? Because there's still full enemy team. The damage is kind of like evenly distributed throughout the enemy team. By the time you have the cooldown ready, the enemy team will most probably heal back up again. So it's kind of like pointless. So at the end of it, you're kind of like giving the enemy team a chance to heal back up. So that's why I don't really use her as like main DPS character. But in terms of boss fight, because there's only one boss, okay, there's only one target, so all of her fireballs will always target the boss, then it's still okay-ish. Like she does okay damage to boss fights. But other than the okay damage, I don't see any uniqueness from her. She doesn't offer any CC, any buff or debuff or anything. She just do like okay damage and that's it. So there's nothing special about her. So I'm putting her at like B tier. Okay, moving on, we have the Raven Girl. I'm going to put her in A. Okay, I believe she also one of the character from the starter banner, right? So Hage Mugen does have some good damage, and there's one thing I kind of really like about her because of her bouncing attacks, okay? Which will keep bouncing and then eventually will bounce to the enemy backlines, right? So she kind of like indirectly attacking the enemy backlines, which is kind of good, right? And her normal attack does can apply some debuffs like the physical defense reduction and even 20% anti-heal. So in terms of like kind of like raw damage, right? I would say that she probably very similar with Ifrit, but because she does offer some other like specialties like the debuffs that I mentioned, that will put her a lot more usefulness compared to Ifrit. So that's why I put her in A. Even in boss fights, because there's only one boss, there's no other targets for her normal attack to keep bouncing around. But because of her physical defense reduction debuff, I think she would be a pretty good support role to help your main DPS to deal more damage. Yeah, so overall, she's a lot more usefulness compared to the Ifrit. So I will put her in A. Okay, is Hage Mugen a universal character? I would say no. I do advise you to play her in the green faction, not the dark faction, because her normal attacks will constantly keep consuming her own HP. So she's like always at low HP. Sometimes she would even at like critically low HP. So if she's your main DPS, you have to be very careful, especially you are matched up against people who use Ifrit, and then the random homing fireballs will easily kill her. So you have to be very careful. So to counter that problem, I recommend you to use a healing dragon to constantly keep healing your team. Okay, next up we have Orion. Okay, Orion have some okay damage, and the best thing about her, the really unique thing about her is 100% anti-heal and a single target CC ability. So I would put her in A right here. Okay, the main reason I put her in A, the main factor is I really like her 100% anti-heal, which helps me handle a lot of like healing teams or like life stealing character. Okay, it helps me solve a lot of problems for me, especially those tank character with high regeneration. So she can easily single-handedly counter all of those. But when it comes to boss fight, I don't think she's good in boss fight, because most of the boss I don't think the boss will heal themselves. You just do damage and then see who has the higher damage ranking. Okay, there is no healing for boss. So that's why you don't have to ever worry about to counter the boss healing. So there's no need for that. So that's why for boss I would definitely not use her. But because of her usefulness in terms of PvP is way too good, I have to give her at A. She helps me solve a lot of problems in PvPs. So is Orion a universal character? I would say depends, okay? And if you put her in any other faction other than these two, then her role would be just anti-heal. Like, that's it. She doesn't do much. She got nothing much to offer. But if you put her in a dark team, she does have a lot more to offer, especially her skill, okay, which will trigger the punishment effect to stun the enemy. So yeah, I would recommend you to use her in her own faction. Okay, next up we have Medusa. I'm going to put Medusa A right here. Okay, so the reason I'm putting her at A mainly because of her ability. She has a AoE CC, which is super good, and she does also have a passive skill that steal enemy cooldowns, which making her own ability cooldown shorter to spam more skill to CC even more. And the best thing about her is she is super cheap to get her copies. You can even buy her own copy from the store, so it's very easy to max out this character. Okay, if you interested in playing her, I recommend you play her in the Dark faction, not the Other World faction. Okay, because she only has one job, which is area CC. That's it. She only CC the enemy. There's no point to use her as your main DPS, because the Death Rattle stack from her faction here will increase her attack speed, which you do not need as a CC character. You only need skill reduction cooldown. You only focus in CC the enemy team. That's it. Because she only doing CC in fights, so which means she is kinda useless in boss fight because you cannot CC the boss. Okay, it doesn't work. So in boss fight, she is basically useless. But because of her area CC and how easy to get her copies, I would put her in A for free to play players. Okay, she's easy to get, and I would say that she's one of the best CC character in the game. So for that reason, I am putting her in A in terms of like CC. Okay, next up we have Ning Luo Si. Okay, on paper, her skill description has some really big numbers. Okay, when I say big numbers, we are talking about 1000% number, which is very juicy damage. Okay, and she is mainly a single target character, single target DPS. So for that reason, I am going to try to put her in A. Okay, the reason why I say on paper, because I don't really use her. The star level on her is still pretty low. And when it comes to PvP, even like cross-server PvP, I rarely see anybody use her. So I don't really see people who use her. But in her skill description, her skill does looks pretty good. All of the damage percentage looks really high. So she could be pretty good for boss fights. And I can't really see other people's team setups in their boss fights. Okay, I can only see their setup in PvPs. I cannot check out their like boss fight. So do a lot of people use her in boss fight? I don't know. But do a lot of people use her in PvPs? Not much. I rarely seen her in PvP matchups, so it's very hard for me to say how good she really is in terms of like practically. But on paper, based on her skill description, she does looks not too bad for single target DPS character. Is she universal? I don't think so. I would advise you to play with her on two factions. Okay, next up we have Mimir right here. Okay, she is more like a half DPS, half survival kind of character. So for that reason, I'm putting her in B tier. Because her skill, her normal attack skill, the more you attack, the more you're getting shield and some crit bonuses. I would say that she's quite tanky as a ranger class character, as a DPS character for herself. So if you really want to try her out, she could be your second DPS, and then you could place her in like mid role, and then while your main DPS will be the backline, and because she can soak up a little bit of damage from her shield. And I also rarely seen people use her in PvPs. The only time that I see people use her in PvP is people would use her in the light faction. I never seen any player who use her in the arcane faction. Okay. And if you ever wonder how about the other faction, no. The only time that I see her is the light faction only. Because she benefits a lot from the blessing buff, okay, for her shield stacking and then her crit buff. She need the blessing buff. If you use her in other faction that didn't give her the blessing buff, she very useless. Okay, last we have Jing. Okay, Jing is, I think you guys already know the answer. I'm going to put her in S. She has a really high single target damage, okay, and also high crit rate. She's basically the tank killer DPS. So because of a high single target damage, she's really good in PvP. You can easily kill one of the enemy character, and then the fight will immediately become 6v5, and then you kind of like slowly kill one by one, and then you snowball the fight. And she also excels really good in terms of boss fight because of a high single target damage. And lastly, is she a universal character? I would say yes, but I don't really recommend you to play her with the other faction from these two. The most suitable faction to play her, I would recommend, is the green faction. Like I mentioned earlier, because of a insane high single target damage, the playstyle would probably most likely be like you kill the enemy tank as soon as possible, and then you like have the number advantage 6v5, right? And then you slowly kill the enemy team one by one to kind of snowball the fight. But in order to keep 6 of your characters alive throughout the fights, you need a lot of healing. You need a lot of sustainability. So that's why I recommend you to use the green dragon to constantly heal your team up, while you let her slowly delete the enemy one by one and then win the fight. As for her death rattle stacks, don't worry about it, because she can get her death rattle stack from her own normal attack crit. Whenever she crit one time, she can get one stack from her skill. So you don't really have to worry about putting her in a other world faction. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy watching this video. If you do, please give this video a like. That would really helps me a lot. Okay, then see you guys next time. Bye.